Okay. So today's topics to be covered in terms of literature review is step one, forming a research question, which is where already some knowledge is needed, and for people who are already professors in that department, they are already well versed with it. But for someone who is entering into the domain, who is starting his, let's say a PhD or uh, maybe even a graduate course on the topic, this is important. So this becomes difficult as well. Second is comprehensive multi-database search. So at SciSpace with the new agent, we provide search through multiple databases, right? Not just SciSpace. We have different database covered, so we'll go through that. Third is how do we analyze the results? Uh, you get search tables, you get different outcomes. You want to go through it. What is the right way to do it? What are different ways to do it? Uh, I mean that you can explore, right? Fourth is at the end, most of the times you want a literature review report that you can maybe share or you can read through at your own pace, and with proper citations, with less hallucinations, in different formats that you want. So we'll go through that in different file formats, in different templates. All of that we'll try to do, and I'll share some examples as well of different literature reviews and how to fire queries. Right. So, like I mentioned, forming a research question needs a thorough understanding of the domain itself. Right. You might not have read all the papers, but you need to know the main concepts of the domain, the main directions of the research in a way to be able to form a research question. So, what I prefer is if you go to SciSpace, there's a literature review and then there's a deep review option. So, my first go to step is fire some queries on deep review to get a thorough understanding of my domain from the deep review report. Now, deep review is already quite wide, because we'll go through that quickly. I think you guys might have been who are existing users of SciSpace might have used it already, but that is my entry point to understand more about the domain. Right. So, for example, here I've asked algorithmic improvements in reinforcement learning from human feedback for LLM training. So, this is, let's say, a query relevant to my domain. So, in deep review, you always gets in follow up questions and then it starts at search. So, deep review is already very elaborate because it takes through multiple elaborate queries on SciSpace. Right. And if you look, it kind of got 500 plus papers. It also went through the citations and references, and eventually it got 572 papers. Now, very heavily relevant papers come on top. You can and you get a big report, right? That is where I am currently focusing on. You get some top papers as well. So obviously, deep review in itself can be a good literature review, but now we have far greater capabilities with the agent. Uh, but this report is my current focus because I want to and build my research question. So if I really, I mean, if you want to really start understanding the domain, a general deep review query will give you, a good intro. And if you actually look at the results section, you'll see different studies, their categorizations, what the field is talking about. So you get to know multiple aspects, and based on your domain, be it biomedical, be it any domain, literature, uh, history, or whatever, maths. You'll get different formats of tables. So here it has gone through so many papers to create this table, uh, and again it has now explained me different concepts. So I now know, okay, optimization efficiency is one part of it. Feedback mechanism robustness is another part for my research questions. Architectural adaptability, all of this, right? Again, critical analysis also it does tells me in different aspects already strength and weakness. So if I'm reading this report thoroughly, I have already got a very good idea of my domain. Uh, right now, let's say this is done. Okay, I'll just quickly take you also through different sections. So we have critical analysis, then we have thematic analysis, thematic review of literature. So different themes and how many papers it's appearing, feedback mechanisms. Then we have chronological review, like how the domain flows. So that is really amazing to start a literature review, right? This report in itself is so strong. Uh, and then you have agreement, disagreements, and divergence in different reports. Limitations is also a bit covered. Gaps is bit covered, right? So you have bit of everything. None of these can be, used as independent reports. That is where the agent comes into the picture, where you get a very, very thorough idea of all of this, right? Now, now my next step would be, go to the agent. Uh, Another aspect could be, just download this report, uh, and you can download it in, PDF format, and so you get a very well with citations and everything intact. If you look, everything clickable, all the references at the end, so you can download it. And yeah, so you download it, upload that report here itself. Right. Currently, I have not uploaded because I wanted to see how LLM itself is doing it. But you can also upload. So next step is ask LLM or ask the SciSpace agent. Here, to be honest, you can use any LLM if you're not using any of the agent features. Uh, I mean, sometimes people want to save credits on SciSpace, so they can use ChatGPT or whatever, Perplexity or whatever they are using for this research question step. Because if it's pure LLM knowledge, now here I've told it ask me questions about my interests and help me based on my answers. You can also upload the previous report to give it. You don't want LLM to use its own knowledge entirely. Use the report. So on what is my primary research objective. It asked me what are the challenge areas I'm looking for, domains, depth, and scope. I gave some answers. It asked further questions. Uh, and then eventually it wrote a research questions theme, MD file. Let me close this. Right. Now here, it has also told me what it has made, in the document. So it said it's focusing on 10 major themes. Uh, and it has given the 10 themes, right? And now it has formed research questions across 10 themes. So there's a theme one, there's research, the main research question for the theme, actually multiple research questions for the theme, and then there are sub questions as well. Now, if you look at these research questions, they're very elaborate. Uh, Currently, it's from LLM knowledge. You attach probably the deep review report. It's from that report now. Uh, and that gives me a great head start, right? A lot more clarity on what are the directions I need to go in. And interestingly, it has also given me recommended starting points based on your interest. I'd suggest start here. Things which has high impact. This has clear ground truth. There are strong theoretical foundations, and so on. So it asked me some further follow-up questions. Right now, this helps me create my research questions. Right now, different research questions. I want to do literature review on different questions. I want to do different types of literature review. Uh, all of that is the next step, right? So, okay, I hope I am clear and you guys are understanding. Can you, let's say, in chat, say a yes or no, uh, and then we can go further. Just okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. So the question forming step is done. There are various ways. My go-to ways is dip review plus chat. Uh, you can for the chat again, like I said, you can use chat GPT or SciSpace based on credits and stuff. Uh, okay. So next step. So for yeah. So here we went through deep review, how to uh, you know use the agent or ChatGPT, aspects to cover. Prompting techniques is like how you can pass this PDF, tell it to go through the PDF. You can forcefully tell the agent to ask you counter questions, right? Now, my personal opinion on using agent for research is that I want it to help me brainstorm better. And when I tell it to ask me counter questions, it asks questions that on things that I have also not thought of many times. And that I think is a great value from all of this LLM. So that is why in prompts for research question, I always tell it, ask me questions back. Because I might have become a bit narrow minded or thinking in one direction only. Whereas when agent tells me questions, it helps me go in like think in different directions. Oh, this I have not thought. Let me also include that. So that is also very valuable. In research question step, always ask the agent whatever you're using to ask follow-up questions to get more clarity of your research domain. Okay. Step two, comprehensive multi-database search. So, the deep review and all the literature review systems that SciSpace has built so far before the agent were fully based on just SciSpace academic database. Now, there were a lot of queries or there are a lot of requests to integrate Google Scholar and PubMed and arXiv and more, right? So we have integrated all of that in agent. An agent, you are not restricted to SciSpace. You can do multiple other databases. We club all of the results so you get top from across the databases, right? So uh, again, and SciSpace, we have two different uh, ways to search SciSpace. One where we do only on the title abstracts of the papers, and one where we have, let's say, a good amount of full texts based on their open access and which are not behind the paywall. Second is like that is a search we do with the full text. So sorry, from full text you get to uh, know the insights or different aspects that you're searching. And we have Google Scholar, we have PubMed, arXiv, and library search is coming soon. So in next few weeks, we'll also allow you to search on your library through the agent, right? So we'll go through different query formats and prompt clips and so on. Right. So your research question is done. Now I want to go through all the academic searches. So here I've searched all academic databases on one of the research questions I've picked from the previous document that LLM made. I've said fire multiple queries from each database for each database. So this is again the prompt tricks. Use preferred formats like Boolean queries for Google Scholar because now if you see it's searching SciSpace full text and it's searching Google Scholar with a Boolean query, right? So that is why, because I know Google Scholar works well with Boolean query. Otherwise, it's just a keyword match. Again, arXiv, it's used a lot of filters because in this domain, a lot of papers come first in arXiv, then into a conference. So people heavily, refer arXiv for the AI domain. In your case, in your case where it's biomedical or other domains, chemical, other domains, it will fire PubMed, right? And we are integrating more databases as we speak. So it fired one set of search results. It combined also, right? So in combining, what we do is we go through all of them and get the top best 100, right? So here you are not worried about whether it's coming from arXiv or anywhere with Google Scholar. What matters is it's a good relevant paper. And when we combine, we add a column called relevance, right? Now the relevance column has a relevance score. Secondly, whether it's highly relevant or not, and the reasoning why it's relevant. And this column is very valuable. And from the feedback we have received so far, uh, people like this column because it gives them clarity on what papers to look and what to not. Now, let's say uh, as you go down, the scores will go down, and maybe you can decide, oh, okay, after somewhat relevant, I don't want to look, or maybe beyond score 50, I don't want to look. And you have the reasoning also. So it's very well coordinated. It's there's no hallucination because there's a one-to-one mapping. It adds a lot more trust on the result, uh, right? So it's a very valuable resource. So this top 100 papers can form my base for literature review, right? uh, and again, here if you see, I asked it to fire multiple queries for each database because I felt it fired only one. Now, when I said multiple queries, if you look, it fired like 4 for SciSpace, 4 for full text, 4 for 5 for Google Scholar, with different Boolean queries, different words. Many times that is what we want, right? And a really powerful AI system is someone who can do that for you, because as a human, we have limitations on thinking of all possible keywords in our domain, right? Now, here, if you look, it's talking about self-supervised, annotation efficiency, Then here it's talking about few shot and contextual learning. Here it's talking about weak supervision and minimal annotation. So this combinations, it's very time consuming for a human to come up with, and that is where the LLM can do a better job, uh, right, and save our time. Uh, so, and many times when I go through these queries, I realize, oh, I mean, it adds to my own knowledge. So these multiple queries that it does, it's really valuable because it helps me think in directions I have not. Uh, it's firing a lot more queries, and it's given you on what themes it has. So it's fired 10 queries everywhere. Yeah, so it's talked about what is query one about. It's the main original query. Second is about label efficiency, self super. I mean, it's different queries, different themes. So that is also clear for you, right? So we've got enough papers here. Now, going back to this, so again, various formats like Boolean queries for Google Scholar, PubMed, arXiv also has its own filters. In prompt tips, you can yourself tell it to fire multiple queries, tell it to uh, combine papers multiple times, and so on, right? Uh, all right. Next part, result analysis. Now I have so many of this, right? Uh, and let's say we can maybe even take the other. Yeah, let me open. Yeah, okay. So I have so many of this. Now what I want to do is uh, analyze this, right? Where what we can do is, one is add columns, right? So we can add a column. Let's say I want to go through all the methods used. So it will add the methods column quickly. Uh, Hardly takes 20-30 seconds. Second is we have, and the important feature that we've recently added is, while your agent might be doing a big task, you can do all the activities on the tables, right? Now this is a combined, rerank result. So yeah, okay. Method used column is added. Now I usually deal with this combined and re-ranked result table, right? The one here, because it already has the best of my search. So I added a methods used column. Now I know what are the best, most relevant papers for this domain uh, talking about, right? Secondly, and I can add anything. Now whatever I want to do, look at their limitations, look at their contributions, look at the results, all of it, right? So yeah, I can add many columns. So that is one. Secondly, if you go through arXiv, Google Scholar, anywhere, or let's say we go to SciSpace, we can filter on all the things. We can filter year based, publication type based, open access PDF. We can sort based on our requirements. All of that is there. What is more interesting is we recently added a bookmark. So let's say you got this combined papers. Now you want to add all of this in your library, right? So let's say you bookmark this. I have created a RLHF folder. Okay. Yeah. So now this paper is bookmarked. So if I go to my library later, in my RLHF folders, I have this bookmark. So I don't have to even come back to this chat again and again, because I have just bookmarked these papers in my library, the important ones that I feel, right? So this is a new feature we have added, and once you have it in the library, you can do a lot more in your library in SciSpace that you are already aware of, right? So bookmarking papers is a very valuable new feature that we have launched. We had it in the older literature review. We didn't have it in the agent, so that's there. Interesting thing, you can go to Google Scholar and still bookmark. Now that's very difficult to do in real life, because let's say you search on Google Scholar, you go through the links, then you download PDF, and then you add it to your library, all of that. It's a lot of steps. Here, arXiv, Google Scholar, uh, all of them bookmarking is very, very easy, right? You have this bookmark option everywhere. You can also cite any of them, right? Let's say I went to this combined paper table, I found the most relevant paper or the top key I want to cite in my journal, in my manuscript that I'm writing. So you can cite it directly. Uh, You can open it in our citation generator tool where you'll be able to download the web text and everything as well. Okay. Second interesting thing, right? Research gaps. Sorry. Now, if I want to do research gaps on top of this, right? I've already run a thread for you guys to save time. So one of the ideal ways in SciSpace is we try to drive everything through columns here. The reason being, when we do columns, we can internally, parallelly kind of extract data. So we consider columns as data extraction. So when I add a column, we are extracting data from each of these papers and with their PDFs independently. So that's why we say whatever you want to do, add columns for that. So that is probably a very important tip. And if you want to do something on top of this, add relevant columns. So let's say you add a column called limitations. Now, one of the ways to approach research gaps is also look at what limitations and future scopes are given in those papers, right? That is a good indication that something is missing. Okay, so let's wait for that column to come in, right? So, okay, it's already there. So this is again fast. Some don't have it because we don't have the PDF. Wherever it's not there, that means we don't have PDF. So wherever it's there, we have the limitations. Now I can add same for future scope wherever possible, based on paywall and all of these things. And that will help me understand the research gaps that I can work on. So I've created already a thread where we have done that. So I've told here, second, yeah, what are the research gaps in reinforcement learning from in human feedback in large language model training? Write the MD report with proper citation and references. Add a limitation column to final re-rank table and extract insights to find research gaps to be addressed. So I have been very clear. I mean, that is probably a very important tip is be as clear in your steps as possible, right? Otherwise, agent is going to make some assumptions and we don't know if we might like it or not, right? So it's better to give those in prompt, and that is where the nuances come in for different systems. Let's say here I've told try to mention what are columns you want to add directly. Agent will do it. You tell it like these columns are important for this report, it will do it. Otherwise it will add something from its own. Sometimes it will read differently and stuff. So if we are very clear to add column, it will do it. And here, like I said, so here again it did a multi-database search based on the summary, again got me re-rank paper. So here the search itself is more on research gaps and challenges, and for our LHF. So again, if you look here, it has added the research limitations, research gaps column. So that column is available here, right? And now using that column, I've told it also extract insight. So this extract insight is a tool for our agent to understand the search results, right? So these are the customizations and why we believe we are a research agent, because we have built these tools for columns and combined re-ranking and extract insights, which a generic agent like ChatGPT or Perplexity will never look into doing because that's not their forte. So this extract insight is also very interesting, right? It also in a way gives you your challenges. So basically, it's a summary, but not the final report, and it's heavily citation backed with all the latest UI. So here you can look at what it's citing, what you can read the abstract, you can bookmark, you can cite, you can go to the PDF. Uh, you have, I mean, okay, this is another issue. You have this issue. So these are all the research gaps in this domain. Uh, and different papers talk about it. Heavily citation backed, very low hallucination when it's extracting insights this way, because we force it to only cite the relevant papers. So only the top relevant papers from combined top 30 papers are used here, right? And you have all the citations for it, references for it, and you have one-to-one mapping, right? So this extract insight tool, so you can mention in your prompt as well, extract insights for this, and that will add quality to your final report. So that is another prompt tip, right? To ask it to add columns, ask it to extract insights, asking it to re-rank papers with different criteria that you want to put. And here, since I had asked it to create an empty report, it created an MD report. We'll go through it. Uh, so it has given me a summary of what all it has done, and then the report and stuff. So it's given me this table and this reports as the main files. Right now, you can also download this report as a Markdown or a PDF. So you can go through this report. You have an executive summary, and you have all the sections that you need. Again, in the report also you have citations, uh, a bit more detailed based on your custom requirements, right? And with all the citations and links and everything. Uh, so this is a way where now on top of my search results, I have analyzed it to get me research gaps, to add different columns, to sort, filter, re-rank, all of those things, right? Again, here, if you see the re-ranking, gave me, so first few papers are, now this is actually a very broad query, so it's easy to find relevant papers. So you will see a lot of the top papers are all 100 out of 100, and they are, right? Uh, because they talk about, so let's say, right? So it talks about the RLHF challenges, limitations. So it's 100 out of 100. So very easy to get top papers because it's a broad query. You, as you go niche, you'll look at the relevance score and you'll see sometimes I've seen the score starting from 75 because it's very niche. No one paper entirely talks about it, but you get multiple relevant, partially relevant papers, and you have to go through the reasoning to understand why each paper is relevant, and then you can bookmark them. Okay. So result analysis. So novel idea generation. Again, you can look at uh, limitations. You can ask it for feature scope. You can ask it for contributions, and from based on that, idea generation is where LLM has to use its own knowledge, right? So LLM has to come up with some ideas, and that is where people are now going into the direction where LLM can help you brainstorm certain discoveries. So uh, you can also, similar to research gap, ask idea generation report where based on this, just to follow up, add relevant required columns and generate an idea generation report. Right? You can just give this and it will start working on that. Okay, where will we? So, okay, let's go back to this. So, result analysis is step 3. Now, we have gone through forming a research question, how to do search, how to do result analysis. Uh, Step 4 is custom literature review report with citations. Now, we at the end, most of the times want a manuscript or a literature review report, which we can read through already. Reading through table is older, probably. Now you want to read through reports, understand concepts, and only a paper that is very important or well cited, cited many times in your report, that is what you want to read because that's the important paper. So, what are the different formats for report writing? In terms of output files, we can write in MD, we can write in LaTeX. So that is something before agent, SciSpace could not do. So now we have LaTeX reports with citations. We have, which again, LaTeX to PDF. We have, you can give instructions for different citations format. You can tell it cite in IEEE format, MLA format, APA format. Uh, all of those can be done, especially in LaTeX. It's way easier. Uh, you can give it template formats, like you can tell it write in IEEE 2-column format, single column formats, ACM formats, different journal formats. You can also upload a class file which it can use, it can read and write in that format. So this is very important for the report writing piece. So let's go through certain reports. Okay, let me refresh it. Yeah, okay. So here is one case where I have asked it critical evaluation, basically, uh, of a of my topic, asked it to write a detailed 2-column report, do multiple searches, add necessary columns, extract insights, ensure citations and references. Right. So I asked me follow-up questions. Another hack tip is basically to use the deep review button, a deep search button. So then it also triggers deep search within the agent. So here I used it, so it triggered deep search. So that will give you a lot more papers. So deep search is more powerful than the usual SciSpace search, and also is quite on heavy side because within deep search you will do 5, 6 SciSpace search that we have seen here, right? Okay, so it did deep search, it did other searches. So here it's fired another Boolean query on PubMed, right? So title abstract should have this, and this. Uh, right. So it does a lot more papers. Again, it has combined into the top 100 papers. So now we had like overall, I guess 600, 700 papers. We got the top 100 from it. Now that's my base in a way. So as we go forward, we'll also remove this limitation from top 100. You get all the top few thousand also. So here, if you look, it has now LLM has added important columns for yeah. So it's added column types of misalignment risks. It's added like 5 columns: key limitations, criticisms, proposed solutions, fundamental problems. So the final table, if you look, it will have multiple columns. You can check below, right? And so it has added 6 columns, uh, and then it instructed the insight. Now that extracted insights are very valuable because it's going through all the columns as well. So here, the extracted insight again, it has table with all the citations and everything. Uh, Now it started writing a LaTeX file. So it says, now I'll create a detailed, well-structured 2-column LaTeX report with accurate citations, comprehensive coverage of all findings. Right. So we have it again. If you look at the main.text, so that is how we have asked it to write. So what we tell it is that use this input tag in LaTeX to uh, kind of refer to other sections or other text files, .text files, because we don't want the LLM to write the entire LaTeX file in one go. We want LLM to write separate sections separately so that the accuracy improves. So that is again a hack that we have done, and that is where we believe that this is a research agent, because we have understood like what works, what doesn't work, and we are still understanding and improving, right? For research purposes. So it cites like all the sections and then it starts writing all those sections. So all the sections are written. Now it again, for bib file, it again extracted insights. It wrote a bib file as well. Might be a bit, you can't read the bib file here maybe, but yeah, here you have got all the bib entries, right? So you have all the citations. It's given also like what it's not citing, what it's citing. So there is a good amount of transparency, and the more questions you ask LLM, it's going to be more transparent. uh, and we are working on even more features to make it like the best, without any doubts, in any form of hallucination and stuff, right? So based on this, it has written the bib file and then it is compiling the LaTeX to PDF, uh, and so on and so forth. Then it kind of goes through the PDF also, to understand what went right, what went wrong, and we can look at the PDF. Okay. So this, we were talking about, custom instructions for reports. So here, if you've seen, I have already written what kind of report I want. I did not mention what type of citation, so I think the default is IEEE. Uh, you can mention all of that. I've mentioned 2-column IEEE format. So it has, I think, 2-column IEEE formats, and basic are very standard for LLMs to understand on their own and write. So yeah, here I have like a critical review entirely. And there can be some, big issues and stuff that maybe if you iterate more, they will get solved. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. Uh, it also tells like what inclusion criteria it used, what databases it used. I mean, basically entire literature search strategy, because it's a critical review document. And it's a big report. I think it's a 25-page report, right? Very heavy. Go through it and you have huge amounts of clarity, right? So this is a 2-column format being done quite well. Whatever things you don't like, you can just ask a follow-up question. Hey, there are some reference mapping issues, fix it. So I will go to the PDF, check it, and do it. Uh, right. So this is one way, different template format. Okay. So what's next? What are the different types of literature reviews, right? So we have meta review, we have systematic literature review, we have scoping review, we have critical review. So what we just saw was a critical review or in my domain. Uh, I've used my domain here so that I can kind of validate if it's doing something decent. Uh, we can go through other types of reviews. So the general understanding is the modern day LLMs have a decent idea of different types of reviews, and it works accordingly. So let's say I'll take you through some of the queries I fired in this direction, uh, and that's why it's okay for you to just mention systematic literature review. It will do a decent job. For systematic literature review, we are coming up with drastic improvements so that it's very deterministic and uh, thorough. Current systematic literature review is also decent, but it's not. I mean, it will give you a great first draft, but you'll try to want to improve on that. Meta review, scoping review, critical review does a very good job. So that's what we are doing at SciSpace, right? So we are looking at what our users demand. So we get a lot of feedback from you guys, and we realized, okay, SLR or systematic literature review is like a top use case. So let's do it in a way that it's very good and beyond doubts. So I'll show you what current systematic literature review is. It's doing very well, but we'll keep on improving. Scoping review, uh, also it did a very good job. Let's go through that. Okay, so yeah. So what is the scope of research? So this is a scoping review. Uh, and again, this is query in my domain. Sometimes, you can mention ensure you download all full text PDF. So it also does that so that all the columns come from PDF, Google Scholar, and for Google Scholar and arXiv. So write a scoping review here. I've given MD format and give me a PDF output, right? So it went through the searches, combined, re-ranked. It went through download full text of PDF, uh, add column. Uh, yeah, it added a lot of columns, right? Yeah, so here it has added the methodologies, evaluation metrics. So wherever we have the PDF, the answer will come properly. Wherever not, it won't. Uh, it's added the methodologies for all. Then it's added evaluation metrics. Interesting. It's added application domains for some of them, and then it started extracting the insights from this so that uh, it got a good idea of what it is. Now it has written a scoping review document. So it's also converted it to PDF, so we can maybe check the final PDF file. It also created some visualizations. Interesting. Okay. Uh, we'll check that output as well. Okay, let's look at what all visualizations it's created. Uh, okay, that's pretty good. Let me check. So it's created some complexity of performance, application domains, evaluation metrics used. Okay. Again, in terms of visualizations that you want in reports, you can mention that as well. Uh, okay. This is very impressive. Without me telling anything about it, it's found it worthwhile in scoping review to do it, right? This is a graph of importance versus urgency, and this is the final PDF. Now I can bookmark this PDF also. Now that is a very valuable feature. Directly this PDF kind of goes into my library, right? And then there I also have a copilot on which I can chat with it. So the flow would be, let me open. So I've bookmarked this. I mean, you can do it in agent also, but sometimes people love the copilot that we had before. I go to my RLHF folder. I see the scoping, and now I can just summarize it. I can listen podcast. I can ask it any questions, right? This is our existing copilot. So that's also a good flow. Okay, let's look at the document here. So we have a scoping review. with this contents. So it talks about all the intro. It talks about what all the search strategy we used, the results, discussion, references, appendix. Interesting. Okay. So the data sources, how many papers it got from each. So that also builds a transparency into your review, that this is what you did. These are the queries you fired as well. So search queries also it gives inclusion exclusion criteria is given, and whatever custom instructions you give, it will adhere to it. So you have again a summary table with citations. Okay, and you can, I mean, it's again a long report. So you have again all the references here, uh, and then you have the appendix section as well. Okay, so this is also good flow where you can uh, bookmark. Let me see where we were. Yeah, you can bookmark any PDF that even the agent generated, add it to your library, and then continue there based on your preferences. So we are giving all the possible options. You can give custom instructions on what visualizations you want as well. Uh, right. Okay. The next is, let's see, a systematic literature review. I fired it a while ago. Let's see if it's completed that. So uh, I've asked again, write a question in my domain, and I've told plan and create a systematic review of empirical studies from 2020 to 2025 because it's a new domain anyways. So first creates a plan for SLR level task. The plan is again first understand the research question, finalize the criteria, verify the criteria with user. That's important. Does a multi-database search, screen on title abstract, download the full text, screen on full text, deduplicate articles, extract data, and write a final Prisma report. Uh, let's see. So it started with this research question understanding, and it asked for my user input. So we sometimes get a dialog box asking for approval or modification. So currently I approved, and it did a search, it did combine, rerank it, downloaded full text, added abstract screening column. Uh, right. So you get a response based on the inclusion exclusion criteria. Final statement is include or exclude, right? But with reasoning. So you can also, while the agent is doing the systematic literature review and criteria screening, you can go through like, oh, okay, why was this paper excluded? Then it also extracted insights. You again get reasons, a summarized way of understanding it. Again, yeah, we did some data extraction from agent. So we are basically, this extract insight can also do multiple queries, extract these different things from the results. Uh, and then it also started writing a final report. So here it has written an empty report because I have not specified anything, right? So if I, so it's given me like Prisma flow approach, but if it's a LaTeX report, it can also create a fantastic Prisma flow diagram. So you can always mention, give me a LaTeX report, and it can do that. So I think something went wrong here. So maybe you can ask a follow-up question, it will work out. There is a global issue ongoing with Cloudflare. It's a websites like Twitter and everything are down currently. But again, so it is a quite decent report. You can also just download this as a PDF. And again, this has all the references, appendix, uh, abbreviations, and so on. Right. So coming back to this, so we have covered most of the types of reviews. So you can do all the variety of literature reviews on SciSpace, get a great, outputs. And agent is like a assistant. You can just tell it. So think of it this way: if you are a professor and you have multiple research assistants or students who you work with, and you tell them different tasks, agent is like that. You tell it the task, it comes back sometimes with great results, sometimes results that need feedback, and you give that feedback as a follow-up question, and then it improves on that, right? And you keep on doing that with your assistant. But since we are a research focused agent, we have built in a lot of the workflows already, like SLR and all those things, and we are working on improving those. We have a lot of custom tools to do things way faster. Data extraction, let's say add columns, can do it way faster. Extract insights, all these customizations, which makes SciSpace good for research.